Hello, my fellow readers, I Dark777 with another fan fiction review. As always, a link to the stories, I'll explain why in a little bit, why I said plural, will be in the description. Please like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and comment what you think your opinion is, because, as always, your opinion matters, because this review is my opinion. So, this story I am going to be reviewing Enduring the Evil 2 and 3. Written by libraries as a sequel to Enduring the Evil 1. There is a reason I'm reviewing both these today, because if you actually more than likely read the stories beforehand, you'll notice that at the end of chapter 2, it tells you to turn on a new tab and read the first 19 chapters of Enduring the Evil 3. So there's that. He wanted to go chronological, but Liberius, I didn't like it. I thought it was weird. Yeah, I kind of see where he was going from, with trying to keep up continuity and trying to do it chronologically. But it's kind of hard to describe whether or not the whole idea of splitting it like it is a good thing or a bad thing. I'll get into it later. I'll just go into it later. I'll talk about it more later. Plot-wise, it's basically the plots of Resident Evil 2 and 3. In Resident Evil 2, Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield, they enter Raccoon City and go through the Raccoon City Police Department, along with the original gang from Enduring the Evil 1 joining them and having to endure the events of Resident Evil 2, along with the Crocodile, Birkin, Irons, Mr. X, or Trenchy, as some people like to call him, prefer Trenchy. And then getting out through the train after taking out Birkin one final time. There is a subplot with Jamie finding out that Wesker is still alive, because of course Wesker is still alive. Because of course he is. And their betrayal, and him and a couple other people that were introduced, Stuart, Mark, and a new character, Nathan, leaving with him, while Louise stays with the gang. And during the Evil 3, Jill Valentine is being hunted by Nemesis, who is a tyrant created by Umbrella to hunt down the remaining STARS members, so that way their secrets don't get out. Fair enough. In terms of the plot, I think the author did a much better job with handling the plot than the first story, because there's more people. The second half of Enduring Evil 3, with there being less people, it's safe to assume that the plot is better coherent. It's more linear. I mean, sure, we don't get any twists and turns aside from the Jamie, but if you read the first one, you kind of see it coming if you're even remotely familiar with the Resident Evil series, so it's not that big a surprise. But if it's your first time reading anything related to Resident Evil, or knowing that Wesker died in Resident Evil 1, then it might come as a mild surprise, but more than likely it's probably not. In terms of now onto characters, let's start with the original 6, and that were the characters we are shown in Enduring Evil 2. There is the original crew. There's Scott, Alex, Danny, Brian, and Connor. I'll save Jamie for the rest of them. I don't like Danny and Brian, but that's less to do with their characters and more they don't really have characters. They're more bland, because I can understand the author was constrained in the original, but in this one and the first half of 3, he kind of doesn't have an excuse, because they rarely have speaking lines, and usually when they have speaking lines, they're praising Alex's leadership skills, or Scott being an overall badass, and that's not how to do a group, especially a group that you try to build up as a family and everything. Excuse me. They're both the same way. I think Alex really grew I think when it came to Enduring Evil 2, he was overall the main character. He received the main amount of focus, with Scott kind of being right there with him in 2, and him kind of falling out in favor of Scott, and him kind of being in a three-way in the first half of Enduring Evil with Scott and a new character I'll talk about her in a little bit once I get to her. But overall, I like Scott wanting to be a leader, but realizing that he screwed up. He knows he screwed up. He wants to go off with Claire to find Chris, and he knows that they're gonna go after him, and he demands, no, I have to turn for my no. I have to appease no. What's the word? I have to atone for my sins of causing Andrew to die, causing Jamie to go bad because I was stupid enough to not see it. Scott gets hurt, and everything to happen. Connor, he dies, but I think Connor actually finally got development in 2 and 3, with him realizing that with some of his jokes coming in, and wanting to and trying to play the guy who tries to keep everything calm and cool, collected, but he knows he's hurting inside, but wants to try and make everyone happy. I really liked it, and that was sad when he actually did die. Scott, I mentioned Scott enough times during Evil 1. He's like a Resident Evil version of Burt Gummer. I really love Scott. I loved what the author did with him in the events of 2. In Enduring Evil 3, they kind of made him mostly static, just be an overall badass. But give him some character development and character interactions with some of the new characters. But his conversations with Sherry, of Sherry trying to understand him, and Scott trying to keep up the group's perception of him being the overall badass, the guy that they have to rely on to be the tough guy, to be the ultimate muscle. It kind of gets in there in the heart of this guy who knows he's hard to be around. He knows he's an asshole, but he wants to do it to protect his friends, to protect the perceived family, and wants him to live up to the perception that his friends gave him, which I thought was a very nice touch, because we didn't really know anything about any of the characters in the first story aside from Scott being in the military, and I thought that was really nice. And I really loved what the author, specifically out of all the ones in 2, I think Scott was the one who needed something. Well, him, Brian and Danny, they're still bland. But I loved what the author did with Scott, especially since I really, honestly loved Scott, and I think he's a great character. He's like a Resident Evil 5 version, Resident Evil 5 Chris in Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, which I thought that's awesome, because it kind of fits the whole theme of a game of the whole acting and everything, not taking itself too seriously. The newer characters, we have Jamie, and the newer characters. Jamie is a absolute detestable douche. In Enduring Evil 1, he had the marks of being an okay villain, with the correct characterizations of with giving it to Wesker. And it continues on, but he kind of stays at it. I was like waiting for something to happen. And then when he finally realizes Wesker is still alive, and he becomes like this really, really detestable person, and realizing, oh, I now have this confidence, and he goes mad with power. I thought that is great, because now we have Jamie gets really good character development. He becomes a detestable douche. Then again, he was kind of a detestable douche from the beginning, but now he becomes really, really detestable. And overall, the author made Jamie not only a better character, but an overall better villain, because now he's like the cowardly villains of like professional wrestling. Old who like keep backing up this. I'm gonna kick her ass and then run as soon as at the first sign of trouble. It works with him. Mark and Stewart, they're kind of like Danny and Bryan. They don't really have enough to go foreign for going for them. I'm just tongue tied. Louise, she's like the teen mom. I wouldn't be surprised if the author kind of retired her, because you're gonna go as far as you can with Louise and how her character is. Maybe look for Alex. Maybe just or maybe do like if he's going all out on the lore, have Louise show up in Resident Evil Degeneration, it's like to meet up with Claire. But I do not want to see Louise like show up at like every single story or like most stories, because I don't see her really being part of later continuities. Maybe as like a very peripheral character, maybe, but no, like outside of that, I can't see her. Then there's the new character Nathan. I don't like Nathan. I think he's like the weakest character in not only 2 but 3. And that's mainly because he's such a mystery. But that also means we don't know. That means the author can really go anywhere with him, because apparently he's tougher than Scott. He's huge. Like he was actually tall as, if you remember William Birkin's first form where he just had the pipe. Nathan was as tall as Birkin in that form. There's a lot of mystery surrounding him. I just wish that there was some. Honestly, if I was the author, I would put some kind of foreshadowing, because if he shows up and says, "Oh, he's not connected to any of the group anyway," I could understand that. But he said he was connected. He was already friends with the group. So it's like, but they never mentioned anything about him. I would have liked it if there was some kind of foreshadowing to at least justify him showing up. I mean, the only reason I could see him reason why he needed to show up was to be the heavy to Jamie. Be the big guy behind Jamie, small guy. Makes sense. It's logical. Now we get to the original characters from During Evil. First off, Lucas, the character Lucas, who is a nice guy. He's an overall calm guy. I kind of like this character. I wish the author did more with him, but overall he was a fine character. Then there's Rav Suki. I mentioned that when it came to the first half of Enduring Evil 3, it was split up in 3 characters. There was Alex, there was Scott, and then there was Rav. Rav was the third main character of the first half, and then she assumed the main character of the second half. Suki is a really interesting character. I really want to see more of her. I think her story is not done. Her story of being, I guess, Japanese immigrant and having a kind of samurai who being a rough and tumble because of her upbringing, but wanting to redeem herself through the art of the samurai. I thought that was a really nice touch. Her kind of adopting another character, Mia Jones, as a little sister is really touching, and I really loved her character arc throughout the entire thing, because I think out of all the new crews, she had the most development. And I really can easily picture, if I had to pick the two main out of the 2 main groups to kind of be the poster characters of the Enduring Evil world and Enduring Evil series, it would be Alex and Rob. I really think Rob can easily kind of fit into pretty much every single game, as well as Alex, and kind of being the main group wanting to go after Umbrella. I mean, that's it. I can more easily picture Rob going in Resident Evil 5 and everything else, but really spent. I'll probably make, like, for my final thoughts, I'll probably do like a guess for which characters I think I'm gonna end up where. I'm gonna do that. Then there's Dante Deco. I really love Dante Deco. I thought he was the overzealous, him being the overzealous cop who kept inadvertently screwing up and having to find his redemption in the sake of all what's going on around him. I love that. I think he had the best character arc. He probably, in terms of actual characters, he's probably second behind Rob, but he probably had the best overall character arc with him inadvertently caught killing some of his squad mates for going after Crimson Head, and then inadvertently getting his anger get the best of him and shooting at Nemesis to piss Nemesis off to kill more of his men. Um, I think overall, and not so much wanting to go after Umbrella, but more wanting to redeem himself, and him ending up in the British Special Forces, the SAS, is something of a nice touch because I can honestly see him, just like Rob and Alex, kind of slotting into kind of the poster boy, especially like certain games. But I really loved his character. The cop who kept screwing up, and then had the realization and realized he knew he screwed up, and he wants to make everything right, and but wanting to better himself. I think that's a really really good character. There's Mia Jones, who was a really really sweet thing. The fun fact is, since the characters don't still and this is again another complaint, they still we don't have any idea what the characters look like, something or anything. I modeled Mia after one of my old friends from high school, Kimmy Burke, who was like a really shy brunette who had trouble talking. And Mia just reminded me of Kimmy, and she was just very nice, I loved Mia's character. I think her the her pairing with Jill and Rob, and they're back in the development through. Well, how am I gonna word this? Sorry, I sometimes get tongue tied. And her conversations and her group dynamic, character dynamic with Rob and Jill, uh, make her wanting to be more confident, because that's actually what I did with Kimmy. I tried to help her be more confident. Um, and I honestly liked the new group better than the old group. I think the new group's characters were better than the old group's, bar Scott, Alex, and Jamie. There's Mikal. Mikal would have to be the weakest character, mainly because he was out of focus a lot. Because first off, throughout most of the first half, he was knocked unconscious, and then when he was up, he was more of a peripheral character who just kept following Carlos, and Carlos kept disappearing. So whenever Carlos disappeared, Mikal disappeared. So we didn't get enough of Mikal, but I would kind of like to see Mikal more. I'm not sure, because at the end he adopts Mia and Rav as his like daughters or something like that, which I thought was a really nice touch. It was too late to do anything, but he tried. There was crap. Who else was there? Who else was there? There was there was Wraith and Shadow. Um, there was Wraith and Shadow, who are kind of there. I don't really like them because they seem like they were just there as foiled for Dante and another cop character, Justin. But I don't really I kind of found them one dimensional. Um, Maybe if we get another story on them, since it's Raccoon City, maybe he can do something based on Operation Raccoon City. Um, then there's Justin. I thought Justin was a good foil, the calm guy to Dante's rashness. I thought he was a good balance. It kind of shocked me, which is a plus for Liberia's good job on this, that you swerved me right at the last second with Justin getting killed by their old captain Ian, who somehow followed them all throughout Raccoon City to the apartment just to kill him, which I kid you not, was a freaking swerve, and that is a good swerve. Thumbs up with that. And finally, there is the little crime trio: Matt, Pierce, and Joe. I don't really like Joe and Pierce. Pierce was a stupid coward. Um, honestly, Pierce was just a more weaker version than Jamie. Jamie did the whole thing better. Um, Rob, he died too soon to really get a beat on him. But Matt, a criminal who wants to help his mom, and everyone kind of perceived it as bullying, despite the fact he was a bully. Especially, I was also kind of shocked at the end where he kind of sided with Wesker, but he only did it. He only did it to help his family. So I consider Matt more of an kind of this series anti-hero because he's doing it. He's doing wrong things for the right reasons in his eyes because he really wants to help his mom. And he does. And in his epilogue, it really comes off as genuine that he really does want to help her, and he'll do whatever it takes to help her, even get himself killed if it means just making her happy, making her proud, or whatever, or just paying for her house bills, surgery, something like that. I thought I thought they were all characters. I thought they were all good. Amy, there was a character introduced late in 3 named Amy. She just like Rob. She was there too. She was there. She was just simply not there enough for me to get a proper beat. Uh, having a nurse type character and and trying to be the foil between Shadow and Wraith and the rest of them was nice, but I should there should have been something more. Um, in terms of characters, I don't like what the author did with Nemesis. I don't like it. I don't like what the author somehow gave Nemesis all this badass decay, all this weak, weakness, despite the fact Nemesis was kept following around. They kept trying to kill him, and yes, they kept saying he's still alive. But every time when they fought him, they defeated him relatively easy, with the exception of at the clock tower, where Scott single handedly took Nemesis down. Although I can't remember if it was this story or a different story, but I thought Nemesis died from being impaled through the helicopter blade. I could be wrong, and I'm thinking of a different story that takes place in Resident Evil 3. I can't remember. But I don't like how the character treated Nemesis. I think he absolutely needed to make Nemesis more badass and more fearful. Have them just come up with more creative solutions to actually kill Nemesis, other than just shooting him with bullets and just waiting for him to fall down. Not to mention, all the fights with Nemesis just boil down to Nemesis just picking some people up and just hitting and just tossing him. Okay, Nemesis punched. He didn't talk. He didn't. I want to see more than just him picking up and just tossing people. I didn't want to see that. Birkin, I could see it with Birkin because Birkin at first he was kind of mindless and he doesn't really think. He's just there. Oh, you're in the way. Arr! So you can make the excuse that Birkin was able to do that. You can't make the excuse with Nemesis. Grammar, I believe I saw 1 or 2 grammar errors in 3. I can't remember where exactly. But I didn't see. I think I saw 1 somewhere near the end of 2, but that would be it. Pacing, I did say at the beginning, the pacing is much better. The characters are juggled much better with it taking place in Raccoon City instead of a small mansion. You have a gigantic city, so there's more room. There's more room to work with and how the characters react, and not to mention you give a lot of breathing room with the events leading up to the actual outbreak by giving the character some of the characters more time to breathe and everything. Um, and and finally, what was the last one? Wordplay. Yeah. Now, I believe I just kept it up for. Oh yeah, prose versus exposition. I think the balance between prose and exposition was perfect. I know this is kind of filed under pacing, but I don't care. I'm having a brain fart and I'm inadvertently dragging it. I just realized that. Um, I think overall it's good. I think overall it's fine with the pacing and imagery and everything. So, favorite part and what I recommend. Uh, Favorite part of 2 would have to be Jamie's betrayal. While I did see it coming, once I kind of figured out, okay, they're gonna do something. He's gonna do something in Jamie. It didn't not make the moment not any more powerful. It's still probably the best part of the entire Enduring Evil 2. Um, due to the fact the author tries his best to invoke all true emotions of the betrayal and realizing that the good guys effed up and everything. In terms of Resident Evil 3, it's gotta be Scott versus Nemesis. I'm sorry, it's just badass. And but a close second would honestly have to be um Lucas. But a close second would have to be the death of Lucas, mainly because I was actually growing to like Lucas, and it did leave me shocked and saddened that I really really liked Lucas. I honestly wanted to see him to see more, and it made me sad more than any other characters who did die. It saddened me because I actually liked Lucas's character. But it just doesn't stand a chance. It has to be Scott because Scott is badass. He is Burt Gummer. Would I recommend it? This is kind of a hard one because of how it's structured. Because it's gonna throw a lot of people off, and a lot of people really don't like it. Personally, I wouldn't really outside of the betrayal part. I wouldn't really recommend Enduring Evil 2. The reason I do that is because I think out of the 3 Enduring Evil stories, the original trilogy, 2 is the weakest. Um, it follows the events of 2 almost to a T. There's no interesting dynamic outside of Jamie. The scenes with Scott are nice, but overall, I think it was the story was too short to warrant wanting me to want to recommend it. Enduring Evil is actually the opposite. I would recommend it. I think out of the 3, this one is overall the best. The characters, the pacing, the story. Like I said, the only thing I didn't like about 3 was how the author handled Nemesis. That if he could fix Nemesis, then I would so wholeheartedly even recommend the 3rd one even more. And I think overall, these 2 stories kind of even out. I mean, you have the weaker story, which has a really good scene, but and Enduring Evil, which has an overall better plot and is more engaging, has something of the weaker favorite scene. I mean, yeah, Scott beating up Nemesis, yeah, it's cool, but that's mainly because it's Scott. I happen to like Scott. But outside of that's even just a barely above blip because it was played for as like it's Scott for all it's worth. And final thoughts. Um, Honestly, since the next story is going to be Code Veronica, I might as well take a guess on what characters I really want to see in Code Veronica. It's sort of like a teaser for. I was trying to guess myself, see which characters would be introduced in the Code Veronica version. Um, I since Code Veronica, I know his main character is Claire, so Alex. Alex, I would love to see Scott, because honestly, I would love to see Scott in pretty much every single game. I don't care. Just put him everywhere. Put him everywhere. Because it's Scott. We gotta have more Scott. I would love to see, for Code Veronica, I actually would love, I'm kind of on the wall with Rav, because I don't know if she would fit this story or not. I would honestly actually love to see Mia, because I think the innocent pureness of Mia, weirdly enough, meshing well with Alfred and Alexis Ashford. I would love, I think Mia would actually be a better foil for them than Claire or Alex or Scott. Dante, Dante, I wouldn't want to see in Code Veronica. I think Scott, since timeline-wise, I would love to see Scott more in the Survivor, the Sheena incident. Mikal. So the only characters from this game, I would have Alex, maybe Rav, Mia, and possibly one of Jamie's troops. Which one? Probably Mark or Stuart. That would be it. It would basically just be Alex, Mia, and maybe Rob. Anyone else, I can't pick. I can't honestly picture. Maybe Brian and Daniel if they had better characters, but I can't. I know the author is like running a poll for like, okay, what do you want me to write next? Honestly, I would love to have him to do Resident Evil 0, make those stories just with Danny and Brian, so that way they have a story. Though they have a story all to themselves. I would honestly would like to see him do all 5. Do the all. And Liberius, I know you're gonna watch it because I messaged you. I would love to see all 3 stories. I would love to see the original stories remade. Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6. Dark Side and Umbrella Chronicles. But probably the one most importantly is if you're really gonna do the entire, as much of the franchise as possible, you're gonna have to do 0, and I really love it if you, instead of doing all these characters, just put Danny and Brian in 0, and have them join Rebecca, and then in the reworked version of 1, have them go to the Arclay instead of going to a camping trip. Have them look for Danny and Brian. Have them get worried. So that way it's a more logical reason, despite the fact, the Arclay Forest is condemned. Have them give them a more logical reason. But that's all I have to say because I gotta take a call. It has been Dark Symphony 777. I hope you like this review, and cut.